Welcome to this tutorial video on how to use the Bibliography of British and Irish History to research the history of social class. The BBIH is an incredibly useful tool which can help you to find the most useful literature and make some fruitful connections in your own research. We'll begin by looking at some important considerations before researching the history of social class and how to navigate those challenges within the BBIH. We'll then walk through different types of search to demonstrate how to use the search functions to generate the most useful results. Next, we'll look at BBIH's unique subject tree and the branches which pertain to social class. We'll look at an example together and go through how to locate and access relevant publications and saving them to a reference manager. Let's begin with a few considerations. Class is a very broad topic to research, so it's important that your searches target the aspects that interest you. Are you looking at a specific class? Are you interested in a particular facet of class experience, such as living and working conditions or social mobility? Do you want to learn more about a specific group within a class, such as labourers or activists? We'll look at these branches of the subject tree in more detail later, as the BBIH is built to facilitate both broad and focused searches. Secondly, when we think of class in the modern British context, the three-level economic class system might be the first thing to spring to mind. This will certainly be helpful when searching on the BBIH, but it's also worth thinking about how people in the context you're researching perceived social class. Try different language in your searches to reflect this. The final consideration is accessible language. Language often reflects historical prejudices, meaning that some of the language historians find in primary sources can be discriminatory and deleterious. For instance, historians may use the term prostitute to reflect the language their subjects used, but the term sex workers is used in the BBIH subject tree, so you could find relevant material using the latter term in a Search Anywhere search. The BBIH's protocol of critical cataloguing privileges accessible and inclusive language in its organisation of such resources. Here's an initial search for social class, where I've typed social class into the Search Anywhere field. This is a very broad term, and I haven't used any other tools or search fields to refine it. This generates a lot of results. We can see in the green search button that the BBIH has found more than 10,000 hits. The vast majority of those won't be relevant to my research, so this is quite an inefficient search. Let's look at some ways to improve that search. Firstly, the subject tree is one of the BBIH's greatest assets because it rigorously catalogues each entry in the bibliography in branches which are easy to follow. Since its launch in 1992, every record added since then has complete subject indexing applied. But we recommend a Search Anywhere search, as this will be more thorough insofar as it includes records from before 1992. The Search Anywhere drop-down menu is a new feature which consolidates the wealth of records bibliographies into one single comprehensive field. In addition to free text searching, the Search Anywhere option enables you to search by bibliographic details, the BBIH's unique subject tree and places tree, and by historical figures, using the person as subject filter. As we'll see shortly, you can navigate through the subject tree for yourself, but you can also type some keywords into the search bar to find relevant terms in the tree. For example, I typed in social class and have been recommended a selection of subjects in the tree which might be relevant. When I select one, it becomes one of my search criteria. If you change the search field to subjects, you can look through the BBIH subject tree manually. This is a great way to get your bearings with the BBIH because with so many subjects to choose from, you can tailor your searches to pursue different lines of thought. Click on the arrow next to each subject to open it up and see what's categorised within it. If you tick the box, that subject becomes one of your search criteria. The further along the tree you go, the subjects become more specific. This means it will generate fewer but more specific results. Most subjects relevant to social class fall under the social history branch of the subject tree, but do have a look through the entire tree for yourself to find other useful subjects. If you simply tick the social history box, you will generate a lot of results, most of which will have nothing to do with social class. Think carefully about your specific interests. Maybe you want to look at a particular class or aspect of class experience. Your results will be more useful to you if your subject criteria stipulate what you're looking for. You can select as many boxes as you like to find out what literature overlaps. It's worth taking the time to play around with the subject tree. Run lots of searches with different criteria to find out if there's much scholarship on certain intersections. Maybe this helps you to identify a gap in the literature which you want to fill. I can refine my search even further using Boolean operators. These work in the same way as on any other search engine or database, but they are integrated into the search tools on the BBIH. There is a drop-down list next to each search field, so you can choose whether you are looking for two criteria together with the AND button, one criterion or another with the OR button, or to exclude a criterion with the NOT button. You can also type in quotation marks to look for a specific word or phrase, or use brackets to join criteria together. To add or remove a search field, use the green plus and minus buttons. You can change the search field by clicking on it and selecting from a drop-down menu. Take a look at the examples on screen. The first one searches anywhere for a specific organisation called the National Agricultural Labourers Union, but will also generate results which do not include that organisation, but do include agricultural labour more broadly, because we've used the OR function. The second example uses the AND function to generate results which include women and elites in the 19th century. Let's go through an example together. Let's say I'm interested in the suffragette Annie Kenney, but I specifically want to read some literature on her working class status. I've selected working classes from the subject tree and typed Annie Kenney into the Search Anywhere field, where she was already recognised as a person as subject. This means that the editors of the BBIH have collected the literature on Annie Kenney as a subject. I'm also interested in anything Kenney wrote herself, so I've selected her as an author too. Notice that I've changed the operators to reflect this. I also chose to limit the period covered to the 20th century. You can see in the green search button that this only yields 4 results. On one hand, this is great because it's a small and manageable number of results which I can read carefully and learn more about my specific subject of interest. On the other, reading 4 things wouldn't be enough to support a piece of research, so I would need to run further searches with different search criteria to find some less specific literature. We'll come back to this shortly. I clicked search and here is my results list, also known as the hit list. At a glance, I can see the name of the article, the author's name, and publication details for each record. I clicked on the first result to bring me to this record view. This gives me even more information about the article, but let's begin with the author. Clicking on their name will take me to the rest of their publications on the BBIH. This is a great preliminary step because it's likely that they've written more on this topic or within a similar field, so I might be able to find some interesting scholarship which lay beyond my strict search criteria. Here I can see there are 10 publications by Lindsay Jenkins on the BBIH. Some are about the suffragette movement more broadly, and might be a good starting place if I want to learn more about the wider topic. Let's go back to the record view. Under classification details, you can see how this article has been catalogued within the subject tree. For instance, it's within the broad subjects of women, but also under the more specific subject of women's organisations, and even more specifically, the Women's Social and Political Union. Let's say that I want to learn more about suffragettes in general. If I click on the suffragettes and suffragists subject, this will take me to a new search for all literature within that subject. This generates 344 results, so let's use the filters on the left of the screen to find something more specific within these results. I can bring up the subject tree to see how the results are categorised and refine them to political activism, for instance. I might also be interested in a particular author and scholarship about a particular place. I keep checking boxes to combine more criteria. Alternatively, I can click Edit Search to return to the original search screen. I click the green plus button to add more search fields, and I use the drop-down menu to change one to subjects and another to periods covered. This search function is unique to the BBIH and incredibly useful. I reduce the period covered to the 19th century and select social structure from the subject tree. This refines those 344 results on suffragettes and suffragists to 16, which discuss suffrage and class structure in the 19th century. As I mentioned earlier, Annie Kenney has been catalogued as a person as subject, so let's click on their name to find all relevant materials. 4 results are retrieved, all of which would be of great help for my research. Some of these include Kenney's name in their titles, but the others don't, so I may not have found them on other bibliographies. The record view also links to Annie Kenney's page on the Oxford Dictionary of National Biography. As long as your university subscribes and you are logged in, this takes you straight to Annie's ODNB page. This is a short biography of Kenney written by a leading historian in the field. This is a fantastic resource to give you some basic knowledge before you delve into the more complex secondary material. Back to the record view, there is a direct link to the UK's National Archives. This takes us to Annie Kenney's page on their website. We can see what archive collections are available, where they're held, and where to look for more information. The BBIH can point you in the right direction for your primary research, so it really does streamline the research process. Another helpful feature is the email alert. Once you run a search, you may want to be updated if new material is added to the BBIH which meets your criteria. I click the Alert button to name the search and enter my email address to ensure I am notified of new scholarship. The BBIH is updated 3 times each year, with around 10,000 new records added annually. Email alerts are a great way to keep up to date on new scholarship in your field. You can access resources directly from the hitlist. If you're studying or working at an academic institution, the best place to start is by searching your institution's library. Clicking on the Find a Copy button will take you through to your library catalogue, where you will find information about print availability or online access. The full text button will direct you to the publisher's website. The resource you found might be open access, in which case you can read it straight away. Otherwise, you will need to check if your library has access to the resource. The external links at the bottom of the BBIH record will also direct you to the full text. The Google Books button will take you to Google Books, where you can navigate to WorldCat. This is helpful for finding an item you found in a BBIH in the public library in the UK, or if you want to request an item through document supply or interlibrary loan. The Library Discover button will direct you to JISC Library Hub Discover, which lists collections of over 200 academic, national and specialist libraries in the UK and Ireland, and is another useful resource for finding material. Finally, on the record view, let's take a look at citations. All the necessary information is here to write citations yourself, but you could click this handy Cite button to copy and paste the citation in a selection of styles. A more sophisticated way to do this is through reference management software. This is essential for any research project because it helps you to keep track of the articles you have read or want to read. It stores all of the publication information in one place and enables you to generate citations in the major styles. I personally use Zotero, but others like Envo and Mendeley are also popular. I have downloaded Zotero onto my computer and installed a Chrome extension, which is marked on screen. Thank you for watching this video on how to research the history of social class using the BBIH. I hope you found it helpful and can put this guidance into practice to produce some insightful research.